Hey guys, I'm Zed.
And I'm Z.
So, Forgotten Realms is coming.
Yeah, it is, and it's looking to be a great set. D&D lovers, Magic players, you know, Commander slobs like me. It just looks to be fun.
We just went through some of the.
Well,
Is that all of the cards out?
The full set's been spoiled. We just went through the spoiler list online, kind of looking through, and we've kind of picked out a couple of cards we're excited about. Notably, this list does not include any of the Commander Precon specific cards. These are just from the base set.
And most of them I picked out, I'm looking forward to putting into my deck. I don't know necessarily what I'm going to be taking out of my deck to put these in, but they will be going in my deck.
And I'm a sucker for just dumb fun cards, so ultimately we'll kind of see how this goes.
So, you picked 4?
I've got 5 main cards as well as a couple of honorable mentions. And if you like, we can always start with the honorable mention.
I got 5 and 2 honorable mentions. Do you want to go with your honorable mentions first?
Yeah, I mean, let's start it off with some of the big draws of the set. We have the 5 mythic rare dragons, each of which are all unique and flavorful in their own way. And realistically, they're really, really sweet. The white one turns into artifact equipment. The green one just gives you all the treasure like the little gremlin you are. The red one is just a big, stompy, splashy burn spell. The black has my favorite mechanic, which is Flash. They all have a special place.
And won't all of those work good with Tiamat?
Tiamat? Yeah, they should all work well. It's one of those, when you're working with dragons, you're going to have a bunch of options. And it just gives us more variety in the format. Because we have the 5-color dragon commanders that came out with that pre-constructed deck a couple of years ago. This is just more tools for the toolbox.
And it kind of makes me want to build a dragon deck.
Yeah, and this is going to have some great places to start. If I recall correctly, I believe the red-green deck is also kind of inspired by the dragon theme. So it's going to make it a pretty good starting point.
We're gonna have some fun with some talking about Magic in the future, guys. So my first honorable mention just has to be Magic Missile. It's the most iconic spell in D&D, and they made it a Magic card. What it does is it does 3 damage to up to 3 targets. So if you choose 3 targets, each one is getting dealt 1 damage.
But the other interesting thing about it, just like Magic Missile can't miss, this spell can't be countered.
Which is great.
The nasty blue players won't have a say in this one.
And they're probably going to get targeted with my Magic Missiles.
Blue did nothing wrong. They just want to draw cards.
Oh, that's just like, what's his name? The Cyclops from Warhammer. Thousand Sun.
Are you...
Magnus! Just like Magnus hasn't done anything wrong.
You chime in, community.
My other one is Dancing Rapier.
Is that the fencing rapier? The 1-drop flash?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I like it as a really nice, sneaky combat trick to just surprise somebody with and go, oh, hey, by the way, here's the thing, we're getting there.
Yeah, and with a couple cards in my deck getting added more effects with having more equipment, you pay 1 and it comes in and it automatically equips. So that could be a game changer.
It'll let you get over some pesky blocks. It'll let you sneak in some extra damage in case you need to get there with, commander damage, or just need to get rid of that 5/5 and you're sitting there with your 3/3.
So your honorable mentions?
So the next one I've got is, Rust Monster. Classic D&D monster. Love throwing my parties against them. It's up there with the Mimic. It's up there with the Doppelganger. I love these type of things. And the big thing in terms of Magic is it's an artifact sacrifice outlet, giving you some of those artifact entering the battlefield or leaving the battlefield or going to the graveyard triggers. And in red, looping your graveyard with artifacts is actually a pretty good strategy. Get this thing out of the yard to replace it with this. or go grab all the artifacts from the graveyard and put them directly into play. These type of effects kind of signify to me Red's interaction with artifacts. They just want to recycle.
And that's good for the planet. You should be recycling. Gotta have a moral somewhere in the video.
Yeah. And then I have one more honorable mention. This one is just a special place in my heart. Silver Raven. It's a bird. It's made of silver. It's an artifact creature that scries you a card.
There you go.
You know, it enters the battlefield. It does a thing, and it's a burb. Who doesn't like burbs?
Yeah, I've seen all of these cards, and the art. Wizards of the Coast, you did an awesome job on the artworks. A lot of these cards. Since I have 5 and you have 4.
Well, I saved one of mine for.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna start with Dancing Sword.
Yeah.
It's a. I forgot the mana cost.
2 mana.
2 mana. And it comes into play. You equipped it. If the creature it's equipped to dies, it can make a 2/1 Dancing Sword creature.
It becomes the 2/1
Yeah.
sword creature. So the funny thing is, when this creature it's equipped with dies, the wielder goes down, the sword gets up, and the sword just picks up other swords, and it's just it's like a 3-ring circus of swords.
And my deck does have a lot of swords, so
it's just good fun, and even for the non-commander formats, the standard 60 card, this is going to be a pretty good threat because oh hey, you killed the thing it's equipped to. Now the equipment's coming to get you, and it's another thing to put on that pressure.
Now, when a creature is summoned that way, does it have summoning sickness?
It's not summoned; it was already on the battlefield.
So, if you were to... No, because you have to declare all your attackers first. Okay. See, I'm still learning all the nuances of the rules. So you couldn't attack that turn with it, unless you had another combat phase.
So, we'll cover the rules interaction in possibly a different video.
Yes.
Possibly, if we have other questions there. But, at this point, the Dancing Sword's basically got a lot of versatility, and it's a pretty resilient thing. That way you don't get blown out to a board wipe or a kill spell.
And I've been known to do those on myself. Go ahead.
So, kind of getting into my first card, we've got Deadly Dispute. 2 mana, sacrifice either a creature or an artifact, and in return, you get to draw yourself 2 cards and get yourself a treasure. It's effectively a way, if you need a death trigger on the quick, you can get yourself one that way. It's effectively 1 mana because the treasure you're going to generate, and it happens to draw you 2 cards. And if you know anything about me and Commander, I love drawing cards and ramping. So this card does everything I want it to do, and it's in black, so they're not hurting for these effects, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have them in this color scheme either.
Yeah, that I can see you pulling some shenanigans off with that. My next one would be, okay, this is a name, Nade.
Maybe Nadir?
Nadir, Selfless Paladin. And I forgot what it does.
Well, when it enters the battlefield or attacks, it lets you venture into the dungeon. And then if you manage to complete the dungeon, then it gives you an Anthem effect, or a +1/+1 across the team. So, it's pretty good for those go-wide strategies, and, it really helps you kind of get some extra value out of your cards. Long-term, with him granting it on the attack or entering play, helps you get those dungeons complete a little bit faster.
And, I mean, what's it, haste?
Boots of Speed, they give you the haste?
Yeah. I mean, equip that to him, he can attack first turn, so you get to enter the dungeon triggers first turn.
Yeah, or any other haste enabler. And, those are going to be around. So you have a couple of options. Even in mono white, just him entering the play 1 turn, next turn just kind of slowly as you're getting your game plan in place, getting there that way, he'll help you get some extra value. So. As for me, the next card I'm just super excited for, Werewolf Pack Leader.
Yeah.
So anyone who's been playing Magic for some time is very much familiar with the Werewolves of Innistrad, and you know, it's one of those. Well, the werewolves are cool. They're not a wolf. I'm working on a all-wolf tribal deck. So it wants wolves, it wants cards that have wolves in the picture, interact with them favorably, and this is Wolfman card draw. And that makes me happy. It's, you know, rewarding you for being big, and if you need this card to be a little bit bigger, you can just pay some mana into it, and he becomes a much bigger, meaner, nasty werewolf. So it's pretty fun, and, you know, I think I can see myself playing it in the future here.
Yeah, I can see a game. I can see it. Yeah. The art looks awesome for it. My next one is Vorpal Sword. Okay, now this isn't good for my deck, personally. This is for my wife's deck. It gives the creature +1, +2?
Let's be real. That's not the reason you're using it. You're using it for the Death Touch and its activated ability.
And its activated ability, you pay 3 black, 5 colorless, and if it deals combat damage to your opponent, they die.
They lose the game, so they're out. It's really, really nasty, but at the same time, it's a lot of mana to invest, so you're not going to be able to hide this telegraph that, hey, I'm about to try to get you.
Yeah, you're going to see it coming, but can you block it?
Or react in any other way, with a kill spell or anything else. So, it's one of those cards that'll keep you on your toes if you're not looking out for it, but it should be fairly easy to telegraph, so just kind of stay vigilant when you see that card at the table.
Yeah, because I can see you working with some other people. Hey, if you can get him tapped out where he can't block, I can kill him out of the game.
You know, and that's where the politics might come into play. I know for Silver Quill, their commander deck is very politically inclined. Maybe that's a card to look at for a potential upgrade if you're looking at, you know, fun cards that work well in that multiplayer, you know, political setting. As for the next card I'm looking at here, let's be real. I'm looking at the bearded man himself, Mr. Volos, and his wonderful, wonderful guide to monsters. You know, he's all about not sharing tribes. He doesn't want creatures of the same type. He wants these unique experiences he can relay. So what he does, he's a blue-green creature. When you cast a spell, if you don't have a card of the same creature type in the yard, or in your graveyard, you can make a copy of it.
Right.
So I put in play an ooze, it checks my yard. Do I have another ooze? No, then I get 2 copies of it. And again, I love me some value. I'm going to play my acidic slime, look through the yard, I don't have another, you know, ooze at all in the yard. I get 2 acidic slimes. What things am I blowing up today?
Jeez. Yeah, we're going to have to definitely do another video on mechanics, because some of these I have questions about. And if you guys have questions about rulings and stuff, go down below and ask, and me and Z will see if we can answer it.
And I don't claim to be perfect by any sense. However, we do have access to some people who, you know, might have more information. You know, friends with a couple of judges from the local area and things of that nature. So if we don't know the answer, we can certainly try to find them.
All right. So my next one is plate armor, which gives you +3/+3. I think that's it.
Ward 1, I believe.
Oh yeah, and Ward 1.
Which basically just means it's going to be harder to target. It's going to be harder to interact with in a negative way.
And, I mean, I'll play it in a couple games, and it may not stick around too long in my deck, but it looks like a decent for just a normal commander deck, just to add it in.
Well, and if you'll remember, it's going to get cheaper to equip based on the number of equipment you're already running. So, in a deck that's pretty heavy on equipment, this card is actually a pretty reliable budget option to get you some extra bulk onto your creatures.
Right.
I mean, for me, I'm gonna go with the Zorn. You know, it's like it's like when you generate treasure, just generate an additional treasure, and you know,
value.
Again, we're doubling up on things. I love doubling up on triggers. I love, you know, treasure as a mechanic, and you're giving me more. I'm totally okay with this. I don't know what I've done, to please you so much, Watsy, but please keep it up.
Yes, please. My next is Divine Smite. I really should have wrote these down.
So Divine Smite. Basically, it's going to phase out a creature or planeswalker, and if it's black, it's going to exile it. So basically, it's a removal spell temporarily, but if it's a black, permanent, like a artifact a creature or planeswalker, helps if I can talk today. It's going to be one of those situations where you're going to get some extra value and you're just going to get rid of it for good at 2 mana, which...
If it's a black, if it's a white, you at least get 1 turn without it in play to do something.
Yeah, and as much as I don't want to encourage the combo engines, sometimes that's when you need to combo off, sometimes that's when you need to try to force something through. So, it's got its uses.
We'll see. Because it's going to in my deck, and we'll see how I can pull it off.
We'll see. But as for my last card, I'm going to keep it simple. We have Teleportation Circle. It's 3 and a white, and basically what it is it's a Conjurer's Closet. It just is going to let me flicker things out of play and put them back into play, and let me reuse enter the battlefield triggers or leaves the battlefield triggers. And at the end of the day, I can take every one of these effects that they want to give us. The more things and the more times I can just accumulate extra free value, I'm all for it.
Yeah, going through this and talking with Z here, I've realized how good flicker effects can be in some decks. So I'm interested to go up against some decks that you were building with these cards, using some of these cards.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we've only covered a few cards here, but the dragons in the set are very, very interesting to build around. The commander decks are going to help us out dramatically with some fun, flavorful things. We didn't touch on it, but the planeswalkers in the set are very, very interesting, like Lolth. Awesome. Sweet. Spider Queen herself. Down for it.
Jeez.
But, like I said, we've got Volos on my list. That's what I'm loving. Admittedly, maybe it's because I'm going to try to greed monster my way into some extra value, but is that really a bad thing?
Maybe, maybe not. The card I'm really looking forward to is the Vorpal Sword. Just for that effect. If I can deal combat damage to you, get game over. And in Standard, where you're just one-on-one, that could be a game changer.
I think it's going to be a little bit too slow for the Standard format, but at the end of the day, it's definitely going to help you get there. It's definitely going to help you out in the long term. And
maybe
honestly,
a secondary win condition?
It might be a win condition in a pinch. I think for the most part, Vorpal Sword is going to be relegated to our commander tables and to the more casual games. Maybe even some limited where you're playing with that limited card pool. But for the most part, I think it's going to be a fun experience, and ultimately, we didn't cover any of the dice rolling cards.
No.
And that's a little bit of a shame for us being D&D guys, or at least I am, that we didn't include them. But at the same time, I think there are going to be enough in this set where we'll get the point across, so we don't need to kind of emphasize it any further.
We just wanted to give you guys an example of some of the cards coming out to whet your palate.
Yeah, and, at the end of the day, everyone's going to play their own way. We definitely don't want to encourage you to do anything other than what's going to be fun or best for you and your group.
Yes.
However, we wanted to let y'all know what we were excited about. And, honestly, one thing we can always try to do, if y'all are interested more about what we're looking at from the set or kind of what we're feeling, let us know in the comments below. Maybe we can start doing some, pack unboxings or openings.
Yeah.
That way we can kind of show you real time what our reactions are to pulling what cards.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing some stuff like that. Me and Z have been talking. We got some big stuff coming for you guys. With this for 40K, a bunch of stuff. But final words.
Ultimately, the set's great. It looks fun. I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's one of those down and below. It's one of those we're gonna open the packs anyway. So you know, if y'all want to see it, you know, might as well let us know. But ultimately, the big thing here is roll for initiative.
Roll for initiative. I'm really looking forward to it. I love the artwork. The flavor of D&D and Magic, it just works. They're both fantasy, and it just works. But, as always, guys, stay forever noob, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Have a good one.